Hey guys, I want to just share with you how I feel about the past week, how we did regarding West Wrestling. You know, we entered the contract with with the problematic marble top for the bathrooms, and the owner specified the material, and knowing this material has features, has so-called imperfections, but it end up that we are asked to replace them at our cost. They did not say that clearly, but that's the intention. So the instant I want to record it over here is last week, when we received all this notice of replacement because the features, and we had a big meeting. The project manager on the Whiting Turner side, and their divisional vice president or their local vice president, whatever. And there's a bunch of people, and on one of them there's a guy called Jason Spencer. Jason Spencer was their, I think his title was a regional vice president. During the meeting, on our side, it's cool on me. I was driving, going to a job site in Washington, D.C. Kulan, the vice president, that trying to explain to the meeting, everybody, how the process worked, and we investigated about 23 suppliers, local and nationwide, but finally we found someone that carries that material, Bardiglio marble, that is close enough to the specified Bardiglio marble. During that process, Jason Spencer has demonstrated very impatient and starting to use vulgar language and abusive language in this meeting, where on our side, Kulan's a female, and on their side, Beth Winters is another female. So I just feel like there's just no way that we can continue our conversation with this type of language environment. So I just fought back. That's really out of the ordinary of me. And then I thought back, may not be the best approach, but I think at that moment it was necessary. And so I cursed him back, and he fought back, and there's a back and forth exchange. So the meeting just ended up fruitlessly, right? Now, where are we? So we received a so-called default letter. This job was bonded through Travelers, and the default letter would trigger a number one investigation from the insurance. Number two, if the investigation cannot persuade us to correct actions and follow through with the project, and that will end up with a default. A default means the insurance company, they can hire another contractors or subcontractors to replace us and purchasing material, get a new installation crews to replace us at our cost. I've been in business for 20 years. This is the very first one that came to this point. Although we did receive warning letters, default letters before, but this one is getting serious. So on the Traveler side, they kind of play a middleman, or as Todd, their representative, said, he is not going to take any sides. He want to understand both sides of the story, but he could not have taken any stance. if it is our fault, if we walk out of the job, completely stop the job, then the consequences is very big, because all these replacement costs, and plus they're going to hire attorney at our expense. Even the new guy Tony, who is our current surety company agent, actually called me, warned me, hey, if you do this, this is the consequences. It's your job. You make sure you understand what kind of consequences you're going to face. So I did not feel good. I know how ugly this thing is, right? So with our Frank Smith and Kulan Bold, we trying to figure out where we go from here. Obviously, default is not something that we want to see. But on their side, Whiting Turner's side, it's not their best interest either. Okay, so their interest is to finish the job and wrap this up, and then without any delay. But there's a few items we need to figure out. The biggest argument is this: the marble material was specified by the owner, architect, interior designer. And the name of the marble is called Bardiglia. Look at Marble Institute of America, MIA standard. They classify this material as a B. With the B I'm reading to you is they are allowed to have fissures, have fills, and have so-called waxing and patching, right? And the replacement would, it's not intended to have a great degree of visibility of that replacement, but also it's not going to be expected as a glass smooth. That's the word, glass smooth, perfection, color matching. So that was MIA's standard for what a class B, group B of a marble, what you should be is expected from. And so I present this point, but they're not listening. So it's really become to a point that Whiting Turner, they are constant and threatening us. They sent a default letter, we responded. And the insurance, Traveler Insurance, they responded to Whiting Turner's letter and no response. So I'm just thinking of this. I thought about somebody. I don't know if any of you guys remember Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, at his toughest time, is when he was entering a negotiation with Gorbachev, the president of former Soviet Union, right? When negotiation meeting got stuck, what did he do? He said, you know what? Let's take a break. Let's take a walk to the lake. So just the interpreters and the two of them. And he was asking Gorbachev a question. He said, I know we have our differences, but imagine right now if we were invaded by aliens. The differences among ourselves, are they still meaningful? That becomes a turning point of the world, actually. Because after that conversation, although it's a very casual conversation, but it's well thought out, I think, that the nuclear competition among these two countries, which is the biggest superpower in the world, starting de-arming of all these nuclear powers. So I thought about that. I said, what if I put out my position very transparently, and I need to have a meeting. But for me directly to calling on for a meeting is not appropriate. Why? Because that only generates hospitality, inappropriateness, etc., etc. And plus, it's just not a very skillful way to do so. So what I tell Todd, I said, Todd, I understand what you're saying, and I have no interest to default this job. However, I think isn't that job to play as a mediator here? And isn't that a job to call on for a meeting that everybody explain their positions, and hopefully we can reach some sort of agreement and then go forward from there? He said, let me talk to my people. So he has his side of people on the claiming side of the insurance claiming side of the department. And then he called me back, said, Gene, that may be a good idea. So let me send an invite, get a Zoom meeting, get everybody involved. So this was last Thursday. So Dave, the project manager on the other side, accepted that idea. He issued an invite. It's a Microsoft Teams meeting invites. When I saw that, the first signal is he is anxious to get this thing resolved. Same as me, right? That's number one. Two is that's not enough. Number one, I don't want to repeat what happened before. I don't want, because of some hot-headed guy derailed our conversation and it turned out nobody is winning. Everybody's losing. I don't want that happens. So I called Dave on a private line. I said, Dave, I say, you and I worked before together. You know how we work, and we know how you work, right? You just trying to do your job, and so is me on my side. The conversation took place at the last meeting was totally unexpected, but it was a screw up. I don't want to repeat that. I want to make it very clear. You manage your side of people, I manage my side of people. I will not, I clearly told him I will not repeat the same thing that derailed the meeting and nobody is winning on anything. He said, I hear you. He's a cool guy, right? He's not very outgoing, just always, okay, yeah, okay. He's a really cool and not saying too much guy, but I can read him. So I called him. Also, I advised Cool Line on our side. I said, no matter what happens, I know on that invite I saw Jason Spicer's name. I said, no matter what happens, we will not go low. If they do, we will stay cool. And this meeting, everybody will be seen on how you behave, how your manners are, how you talk. And because we have a third party, the insurance company, basically they serve as a third party judgmental, it's kind of like a judge, or more appropriate term would be a mediator. So when the meeting started, I took the mic. I said, Dave, if you allow me, let me say something first. I said, it is my intention that we want to finish the job. It is my intention that I know there's problems, but we're willing to work out our differences. Today's meeting is all about to share our different point of views. We put our stands out here to show everybody why we think it's not fair to us to take all the expenses to replace all these marble tops that has a fissure based upon which which that the owner rejected those tops. Um, and I hope after this meeting, we reach some sort of agreement. We're going forward, and life goes on. We're looking for the next job after this one's finished. Okay, so I think that was very well received, not only by Whiting Turner, but also very well received by everyone else on that meeting. So they went through 8 points of them. Many of them they're related. Some of them just like number one is lack of supervision. Yeah, we already took care of that. Two is damage on the cabinet. We already discussed that in depth. Three is blah blah blah. But the big item is this. The big item is the rejected marble tops. How we're gonna deal with that? I said, Dave, I sent you an email with MIA article clearly stated where Bardiglio is a stand for in the mind of MIA, and what everybody should be expected from that material. And he didn't have the chance to read it, and we were trying to push them. But I said, when I hear Jason Spicer, starting to get heated up again, and I said, you know what? Let us give you guys some time to read that article, digest that, and then you're always welcome to call me. And I already studied that very well. I know exactly what's going on, so we can talk about that. But the last point is this, which is very important. They have been passing due $241,000 on our invoice payment, and we have not received that yet. And they have no reason. And this could be, according to Todd, the traveler insurance, Whiting Turner could be at a default because you're passing due for payment. So I brought that one up as the last point, simply because it is true. No matter how do you slice and dice, they owe us that money, and we cannot continue with that without that payment. I put that very clear, and everybody knows that. So when we ended the meeting, I think we ended the meeting with a very good point. Number one, we stated our position on how we believe that the rejected material should be paid, reimbursed by the owner, or Whiting Turner work out a deal with the owner, whatever. But it's not going to be on us. That's number one. Number two, they should pay us for the $241,000 payment next week. So yeah, we're talking about 79 pieces missing, but they were in the back. They were not really missing. So next week, when we receive the slabs from Marble System that we ordered to the NB16 change order, which requires us to replace and at an owner's cost, that's okay. We can do that. The important thing is, in my mind, major point. Number one, we have a strong argument on this. From the beginning, we warned you this material is not suitable for countertop because our past experience says that there's plenty of articles, photos, videos, and we had a heated discussion, but they just totally trashed that, our advice. That's number one. Number two, they specify this material, knowing this material has a problem. Well, I don't know, they're ignorant enough to understand that, or the architect is sophisticated to understand that particular marble has a problem or not. That's a different story. But we did not specify the material, okay? So, and number three is the payment. That put them at a default. So after the meeting, I received a huge response. I talked to Dave. I thanked for him to be open-minded to and he thanked me for being conducted the meeting constructively. I also received emails from Todd and Tony. They all expressed their appreciation and think the meeting was conducted very well, and they're very happy. Following that, I was walking my dog after that. I said, "Oh my God, this was a great meeting. I need to go to walk the dogs. My God, I'm really stressed out, right?" Kulan called me saying, "Oh, there's an urgent letter." I saw that letter because I did not think that was urgent, but Todd, the traveler agency claim guy, said, "I need to send this letter out because today is the whatever the deadline." So then I understand is this: Traveler had made a decision, that is, they are denying the claim Whiting Turner put out there for the default letter. That is a huge success on our end, because their reasoning, just like what we said, number one, no response from them. Number two, they saw that Granite America taking proactive approach to addressing this issue, following with actions and plans, and they think that the default letter has no merits and should be totally throw out the window. And I think that's exactly what happened. And that letter from Todd indicated that. Okay, so on our side, what I learned is I have a great team. I want to thank Frank. I want to thank Kulan. I want to thank Jose, William, our team, working together, Juan, and Claudia, everybody working together as a team. But more importantly is that critical thinking, that argument, that evidence, that article that we found from MIA support the argument we made. This is critical. And also the continuing working with them at the time that we have this argument, we had this disagreement, that only helped us moving forward, make us looks good in front of everybody. So that's another thing. It just we work as a great team, and you don't know how proud that I am for this team. And we're strong, we're smart, we're cool, and we know how to manage crisis. We know how to turn in crisis, avert a crisis. That's the word I was looking for. Averting crisis into a disaster. Okay, we don't want a crisis to become a disaster. And well done. Thank you guys. I'm so proud of you guys.